Do you find yourself referring to things as cuckoo bananas?
Are you dreaming of the day Paige Michaelchuk will call you hun?
Are you still wondering, whatever happened to Terry?
If so, you're one of us.
I'm Ari.
And I'm Asha.
And we're two friends who learned everything about life from the craziest school on television.
We'll be breaking down every episode of Degrassi, The Next Generation, and asking the question, does it still go there?
You're listening to
The Spirit Squad Rejects.
You guys, and when I say you guys, I mean like our 2.5 listeners. This
0.5.
3 years in the making. Kind of 3 years in the making.
Honestly, we've been talking about a podcast since we graduated high school. So this is
a long time.
Low-key 8 years in the making. And it just so happened to be about Degrassi because it's something that we both are obsessed with.
We love a podcast, and it's so apropos that we choose a topic that we're pretty much experts on.
Yes.
So welcome to episode 1 of the Spirit Squad Reject.
I tried out and Paige Michaelchuk said, "Fuck you."
And she said, maybe next time, hon. We are Degrassi historians.
Honestly, but here's the thing. Even if we weren't around for Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High, like our parents were, and my mom fills me in on the tea. So, yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that they reference in The Next Generation about that generation.
That's true. And that was a majority of our first episode.
Yes.
Which was a part 1 and a part 2.
Yes. Part 1 was all about that. It was this big reunion, and I just didn't understand why it was such a big deal, but it still made me feel warm inside.
I just want to say the reason that we're even doing this podcast is honestly because a constant thread throughout our friendship, and I'm talking about even high school, kind of middle school too, was us referencing Degrassi moments, Degrassi scenes, quotes, etc.
Because Degrassi what?
Goes
there. Sorry, let me not clap so loud. It goes there.
It goes there. If Degrassi goes there, that is a phrase I use in my day-to-day life. If I'm watching something, or even in life, if something pops off, if it's dramatic AF, I'm if Degrassi goes there.
Degrassi, it goes there.
Just so people know, in case they haven't watched Degrassi at any point, we are rewatching every single episode, and we're going to go in chronological order of Degrassi: The Next Generation. And shout out to Degrassi's official YouTube page, because they post every single episode, the full episode, for free of every season of Degrassi. So that's how we're watching. So pause this if you didn't watch the episode. Go and watch it. Take a drink every time someone says sorry, like a true Canadian.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How many times do I have to say it?
Come back a little wasted and watch along with us. I'm drinking, I will call this the Manuela Santos, the hero of episode 1, part 1 and part 2.
She sure is. Everyone needs a Manuela Santos in their life, honestly. I don't care how she acts later on. We're not going to talk about that. Just right now, in this episode, you need a friend like her. You need a friend that's going to investigate what you're up to.
I love me some Manny. Even at her messiest moments,
we all have
she could do no wrong for me. I love her so much. But what are you drinking?
So I call this, because you named yours after Manny, I named mine after Emma. So it tastes like garbage. It's the Emma Nelson gimlet. And traditionally, a gimlet is made with fresh lime juice, simple syrup, and either gin or vodka. Mine has gin.
Yeah, you better do it.
And what I did was I added a dash of bitters, because that's how Emma makes me feel, bitter. That's the tea.
That's great. Cheers to that.
Maintain eye contact.
By the way, I didn't even say what's in this. I just called it Manuela Santos. Some Malibu, a little bit of vodka, and then a splash of some sparkling water. It's a little tropical. It's a little bit zesty, like Manny, but then also there's a giant chunk of ice in here that is slowly melting away, because I feel like that's the progression that we're going to see. We're going to see Manny chip away into the beautiful puddle of emotions that she really is deep down inside. And I didn't even plan that.
I know.
I just came up with that right now.
It's like,
You're welcome.
I was like, wow, that was
Web
amazing.
exclusive. To go back to the joke that you were making about Emma, it's sort of a constant thing. Like, an alternative title for this podcast could have been Emma is the worst. My goal for this podcast is truly to make myself like Emma. Like, I want to like her because I know she was all about the environment and non-GMO foods and all of these things, like back in the day, which I'm like all about and here for. But she's just she makes it so hard to root for her, even when you want to.
There are times where I truly feel like, wow, she's doing this for the greater good. She really is an awesome person. She's really out here. But then her voice, it's not her voice, because that's mean, because that makes me feel like I don't really like her as a person, like the actor that plays her. She's a great actress. It just, I have trouble with her delivery. And it's very much like, oh, we have to stop selling GMO foods in the cafeteria, but also all of you guys are involved. You all suck. I don't need help. I'm going to do this all by myself. Like, it's like,
absolutely,
you need to find the balance there, Emma. And you're 12.
And that's a good point that you bring up about the actress. I want to be clear. I love me some Miriam McDonald. I follow her on IG. She's thebomb.com. I think she's like a realtor or something now. I think she still acts. Before we break down today's episode, I want to be clear that it's like, I know that Emma is the victim in this situation. And I want to be clear, like, I'm fully aware that it was like a creep who was messaging an underage girl. She was like a victim of a creep who was like coming for her. That's not why I'm saying she's the worst. I want to be clear, like, when we're saying she's the worst, I'm talking about like the way she talks to her mom. Like, her friends are just trying to help her and she's kind of like crappy to them.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I'm saying.
If I ever spoke to my mom the way that Emma speaks to Spike,
done.
I would not be alive today. I wouldn't have lived to be 26. Yeah. I probably would have been homeschooled. She would have pulled me out of school like, oh, your friends are acting crazy towards their parents, so you think you can act crazy towards me. Slapped into another nationality. There was no way that I would be allowed to speak.
Not another nationality.
There is no way I would be allowed to even begin to have a cadence in my voice to speak to my mother the way that Emma Nelson speaks to Spike.
I would have no face left because my mom would have slapped it off me so quick.
I know your mom.
Done. And by the way, stay tuned because that is the theme of our Emma is the worst clip of the day. Coming to you later in this podcast. But so let's dive into it.
Okay.
We open up in Emma's room. So it's Emma and Manny, babies. Like they are just like children in this opening scene. And she's messaging her catfish boyfriend, Jordan.
I also want to point out that this episode, I thought I saved it, came out October 14th, 2001. So it's been approximately 19 years since this came out. So be aware if you've never seen Degrassi. I know that most of us have heard of Degrassi because of Drake, but you know, Aubrey's not even in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is a show that came out a long time ago. So when she's on the computer, it looks like AOL dial-up. It's very much like that.
Oh, 100%. The fashions. Can we talk about, she's in her room, she's on her old ass computer. It's like a brick. And she is sitting there reading everything. And the fashions, first of all, Manny's looking cute AF like my queen always looked. I remember
even at
nothing
12
different.
years old.
Emma, the hair, and if you're watching along, I will put a picture of the hair that I'm referring to. Messy boot. This was a choice. Like she chose
honestly,
to do this.
What they tried to do was justify it by, so it's the beginning of Degrassi High's characters 10-year high school reunion, and basically what they're trying to do is like compare the fashion to 2003. Is that what I said? 2001.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to compare the fashion from 2001 to 1991. So they're saying like, oh yeah, this is how it was back then. It was so crazy. I can't believe you did your hair like that. But then to look at Emma now, I mean, girl, you don't look that much better. You look like your spikes are down in comparison to your mother's hair in
She looked a
1991.
hot mess. She intentionally took 2 little berets. She like tied it up, hair looking all types of fried, and she put it in there. And I'm not even trying to hate. And this is why I was like, okay, maybe it's just like messy. But then when she's in the episode later, when she's like on the steps with Caitlyn, her hair is like fully down, looking normal. This was a choice that you made, like a true choice. When they were singing at the beginning of the episode and they were like, whatever it takes, I know I can make it through. They weren't talking about that hairstyle. They weren't. Because it is hot.
Can't make it through that.
No.
You guys are all so perfect.
I'm almost positive that it's only like these first 2 seasons that she has her hair in like these wild styles. And then afterwards she grows as a person. She's like, you know what? I'm an adult now. She's not, but I'm an adult now. I might as well like,
like let me try
if I can't make better life choices, I better make better fashion choices. So
and she does,
assume.
and I will give her that. But so let's get back into like the plot of the episode, which was Emma is messaging this man who's clearly a catfish on some online dating profile. Now, I'm going to lay out some of these red flags right away. Start of the episode. He is 16 years old. She's like 12.
But she lied and said she was in high school.
Oh, you're right. Because she was going into 7th grade. She's really 12. And this guy's like 16 messaging, 16, going on 45, messaging her. And he says that he's going to see her tomorrow because he's coming to town because he's on a school field trip in the middle of August. Red flag alert.
Yeah, I had an online boyfriend when I was 15.
Teen, you did? Did you know him?
Oh no, it was literally like it was in like an AOL chat room, and then he messaged me privately. He messaged me privately and was like, "Hey, I'm the prince of whatever. Do you want to be boyfriend or girlfriend?" And I was like, "Okay." And like we would message like once a week, and then one day I just stopped messaging him. That was my online boyfriend experience.
Wow.
He never asked to meet me though, thank goodness.
But like if you had really asked to meet him, or if he had asked to meet you, would you have gone?
No.
Because you're not the worst.
And also
Emma
like
is.
in that state of mind, like you always think like you know better than your parents. For some reason, Emma just took that to the extreme. Like, no, I truly do know better than my mom. I don't want to get into it, but I just, so for me, I was more afraid of what my parents would do to me if they ever found out that I was even messaging this stranger online. And it's actually hilarious because all of my brother's relationships have been online and he's met people and nothing's happened to him. So,
and he's still going good. He's going strong.
He's still doing well in his life. So,
wow.
Maybe Emma just did it wrong. Let me stop that. I'm totally not condoning talking to strangers online.
No. Yeah. Trigger warning. We're not condoning that. However, I completely agree with the relationship with her mom. It's like, I'm not hating on that. I just can't relate to it because it's like, I was so afraid of my mom that like, I was so afraid of like the potential. I like thought everything through too much where I was like, this could happen and that could potentially piss off my mom. So let me not do that because I don't even want to deal with the ramifications that may come from this action that I'm not going to do anyway. And that is why I find Emma unrelatable.
Yeah, Emma just had no fear in her heart. And you know what? I got to blame her mom for that too. You incited no fear in your daughter so that she thought that she can do anything she wanted. She was out here wilding.
Emma's mom, who her nickname was Spike, she had Emma in high school. That's sort of what I know about her storyline. And then some of her good friends like Joey and Mr. Simpson, who works at the school, he's a teacher. They kind of are like the most prominent Degrassi Junior High characters throughout the Degrassi Next Generation run?
It would be Spike, Snake, Joey, and Caitlin. They're probably the four that
Caitlin
keep.
too. So like I was saying, they're all prepping for this 10-year reunion. They go to Degrassi, and this is where we meet JT, and he's helping Emma and Manny, baby JT, he's helping Emma and Manny bring in all of their supplies for the reunion. And then we meet Toby, another baby Toby. Now this brings me back to why Emma is the worst, and we are going to add another notch to our Emma meter for today's episode, because let me tell you how she introduces herself, or doesn't even introduce herself, but let me tell you how she talks to this person who she's never met before, and is just instantly so rude to. She was
And gave
so
like
awful
a
to Toby.
super dirty look too. Like as soon as like JT was super like excited to see his friend, like Emma was, I mean, Manny was like, oh, that's his friend or whatever. And then Emma was like seriously like just dirty looks, nasty attitude, was only focused on the fact that the adults were around. She wanted them to leave so she can do her own thing.
Mhm.
And just took that all out on Toby when Toby is giving her very sound advice. The
Mhm.
only thing, because I don't want to rag on Emma the whole time, the only thing I can say sort of in her defense is that Toby just met her and is
Mhm.
like giving her advice, and it's like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that, that's not a good idea. And I know personally someone that I just met that was like telling me that what I'm doing is wrong, especially when I'm a 12-year-old.
You'd be like,
Like,
oh,
who are you? Who are
Yeah.
you? Who are you?
yeah.
So
That I feel. But I will say, he gave her that advice later on. I'm talking about the initial, like straight up, they were in the playground when he gave the advice. She was like, and first of all, she was in a playground. So maybe you are too young to be on an online chat room. Sorry, Emma. But so when he first met her, he was like, JT was like, oh, this is my friend Toby. I know him from summer camp. And she was like, yeah, I can tell. Or something rude like that. And I'm just like, you don't know this guy. She then proceeds, she's like, not about it. He's like, hi, I'm Toby. And she's like, yeah. That was literally her response. She said, yeah. So rude for no reason.
couldn't even be like, oh, okay, like
All
just
because-
something a little lighter.
But all because she's so preoccupied because she wants to break into the school computer lab to message her online boyfriend, even though she's literally about to go home. You're leaving Degrassi to go home.
Obsessed.
You are
Obsessed and like just one track mind without even thinking of like she's about to start the school in like a week.
Mhm.
And her mom went to the school. Everyone knows her mom at the school because they went to the school. So if you get caught for breaking in there, like you already have a bad start to your freaking
And they
7th
know who
grade
you
school
are.
year. Like it doesn't make it. And especially this is when they first started having like computer labs in schools at the time. So it was like this new, like, oh my gosh, there's computers for everyone to use, blah, blah, blah. It's so cool. And if they have computers, I assume they have like monitors to see what you're looking for on the computers, or at least they have cameras around the building to see what people are doing. Like she just didn't think that through. That's my only thing.
She didn't think it through at all, and that is part of the reason why she annoys me so much, is because like she doesn't think anything through. And I get it, she's also 12, and it's like I don't want to seem like a hater. I anybody who is listening to this probably is like, okay, you came into this hating her, and so anything she does you're gonna like have an issue with. And that's true.
That's true.
Moving
But
on.
we're on the journey to not hate her so much.
But I am on the journey to not hate her. And that's why at the beginning I was like, listen, I'm not blaming her for what ensues, because she's a kid and she shouldn't be at fault. She's the victim in this situation. So moving on, we fast forward a little. She meets JT. She meets Toby. Toby's like, hey, you probably shouldn't meet with this guy online. And she's like, I know him. I love him. Whatever. Her 16-year-old boyfriend, Jordan, who's like 45. So we fast forward a little. She comes back home. And I want to specifically share this clip because this is when I was like, oh, you're the worst. You're actually the worst. She comes home and this is how she speaks to her mom. This is the Emma is the worst clip of the day.
Why are you on my computer? Excuse me? Computer?
Out the gate, Rude does not care that there is a guest who she literally was raving about earlier. Doesn't care that she's in here.
She said, "Why?" I'd be like, "Do you pay rent?
Right.
Do you pay to live in this house? This is my room, bitch."
Rude, out the gate.
You on the reunion site again? Next time, can we try asking before trespassing?
Who is the mom? I'm sorry, let me not clap, but who is the mom and who is the child in this room right now?
Asking without trespassing. Yo, Emma, who paid for your bed? That snake that's hanging off your bed frame? Who paid for your clothes? Who paid for the little breasts you put in your hairstyle? I know you ain't talking to your mother like that. Who paid for the computer that she is on?
Also, environmental activist, but we're using the straw. Maybe not. I am Caitlin throughout this entire situation, just like clutching my pearls that aren't even there. And I'm just like,
Caitlin's a whole skinny legend too.
Right to our guest, M. Caitlin Ryan's Planet, birth date, March 2nd, 1972. You're a Pisces, right?
okay. Why did you need to rattle that off?
That was so random. That was so weird. Like, and here's the thing is that Emma knows that she is friends with her mom. So why? So I don't know. It just on too many levels that was strange. Like you didn't need to say what everything was about her. You didn't need to, like, and if you're such a big fan, why didn't you peep her as soon as you walked in? You were just mad that your mom was on your laptop.
That's what I'm saying. And the whole thing is weird to me. And it's like, you know that I like live and breathe Cher. I love me some Cher. If I see Cher, I'm not rattling off her birthday to her. She knows it. Like, let me rattle off my birthday so she could send me something in the mail. I'm not like, oh, Cher.
She's gonna be like, you're a fucking stalker. Like,
it's so weird, but that is my Emma is the worst clip of the day because she came into her room just ready to fight and so rude and so unnecessary. However, as we move on throughout the episode, she has another moment with Caitlin on the steps. So her mom and Caitlin, they were out, they were having a drink with the OG Degrassi cast, and they come back a little bit tipsy, which I was kind of here for. Her mom comes in, she's like, you girls want some champagne?
She went like this.
She goes to get some champagne, and Emma is sitting on the steps in her house, and Caitlin comes a little bit tipsy and gives the worst advice that you could give a 12-year-old who is in like a relationship. She's like, oh, do you want to talk about your boyfriend? She was like, you just need to go for it. Like, who cares what your friends say? And now if this is her 10-year reunion that she came back for, she's like, let's say 28 in theory, like pretty close to our age. I would never say that to a 12-year-old. I just want to put it out there.
My sister's 14 right now. There's no way if she called me and was like, oh, I have a boyfriend. I have boyfriend problems. Leave him. Leave him. That's what I would say. Leave. You're 14. Leave him. Leave him. Your friends don't like him? Leave him. Leave him. Leave your friends too.
I'd be like, who needs him? Do you even like boys? Sexuality.
Maybe try girls. I don't know. Maybe that's your thing instead.
Yeah. So this is how episode 1 ends. Caitlin is sort of like giving her this like really bad advice that no 12-year-old girl should receive.
So one of the things I love about Degrassi is the freeze frame endings. So she's in front of the computer and she's sending. So basically, I don't know if we said it before. So Jordan was talking about how much he likes her. And I know we were talking about like people's advice to her, but the reason why she was trying to go into that room, the computer room, was to see that Jordan was actually inviting her to this hotel. It ends with her saying, you know what, sometimes you just need to take the leap. And then the freeze frame is literally this.
Absolutely.
It ends with her like taking this breath in, like, and it's
so good.
And it's so iconic.
It's so bad that it's so good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I love Degrassi's freeze frame endings. I feel like it just makes the entire show. So that's dramatic. How part 1 and of mother-child reunion ends.
Normally, for all of our podcast episodes, we're just going to do one Degrassi episode at a time. But so much of this, like part 1 and part 2, a lot of it had to do with like the old Degrassi cast, which we're not really going to touch on. So for this episode, we're going to sort of fuse together part 1 and part 2 and do one massive review. So stay tuned. Yeah. So part 2 kind of opens with Emma, and she has this plan in her mind. She's going to go meet her man's Jordan, who is at a hotel because he's on a school field trip in August.
So, and she was super obvious about it because she's waiting downstairs. She lies to her mom. She's like, her mom's like, oh, you really want me to get out of here? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a crazy night with Manny. We're going to watch movies and maybe make popcorn. Her mom leaves. She runs upstairs to get herself ready. Manny calls her. She's like, hey, you want to hang out? She's like, no, I'm actually going to watch environmental videos and take notes. And Manny's like, hey, you want me to come over and help? Now, mind you, this is why Manny's a great friend. One, she don't like that. She doesn't like watching informational environmental videos. And she still said, do you want me to come over and take notes with you? Because she's a true friend.
Emma Santos is an icon.
She Queen, what did you write? Queen Manny.
Yeah, I did.
So so
you guys know I have like notes, like an outline of everything. And every time I referred to Manny, I was like, Queen Manny is in her bedroom with Emma. Queen Manny calls Emma on the phone. We love Manny.
So she is really evasive. She's like, no, I really just want to concentrate. It's like, you want to concentrate on informational videos on a Saturday night, whatever, cool. So Mandy even gets off the phone and she was like, okay, doesn't even say bye. She just says, okay, hangs out. And then you see her contemplating because you know something's not right. Mm-hmm. So Emma goes to the hotel room. She makes a call. You see her running in by herself with her fucked up hair. She makes a call on the hotel. In all denim. Oh, and a Britney denim. Spears, Justin Timberlake denim on denim outfit. So she calls and she's like, I'm downstairs, Jordan. Whenever you want to meet me, I'm wearing, she was about to say what she was wearing too. I'm wearing, actually, you know what I look like. I'll see you in a little bit. Mm-hmm. Waiting downstairs, reading a book or whatever. And then here comes this 30-something. I want to say he was like in his early 30s. Like he was a pretty young guy for us, but he was
for us, but for a 12-year-old.
Yes. For a 12-year-old, you look like you were 50. It was ridiculous.
Yes.
So Old Man River shows up with one. So this was my thing about it. He's on a school trip with a couple of boys.
Boys. I made a note about this. I know exactly where you're going.
Which was what?
Give it to me.
Which was one pizza box. It was about this big.
Yeah.
It was.
That's generous. He showed up with a personal pie. He showed up with a personal pie that was literally this big, and he was like, I'm gonna go feed the kids. What kids?
What kids? What? When I was 12, I was scarfing down 3 pizzas by myself. 3 slices of pizza. But when I was in college, I would get the pan pizza from Papa John's, eat that whole thing, and then go down the street to Mike's Deli and still eat a fat sandwich.
Yeah. And then I would go home and make a pizza.
Yes.
He really showed up. He really showed up with like, it was a hot and ready Little Caesars personal pizza. It was like a DiGiorno's, but for one person, like the microwave ones. And he was like, oh, hey, you must be Emma. I will say, even though I'm like on Emma this whole episode, this is when it was really starting to settle in, even though she annoyed me when I saw him and just like his body language and everything. That was when I was like, okay, I'm scared for her. Yes. Because this guy is so crazy that he's actually concocted a whole story in his mind as to like where Jordan is, who Jordan is, what his relation is to this fake boyfriend, Jordan. So basically he shows up with the personal pizza and is like, oh, I'm going to go feed the class right now. Are you Emma? So I'm Jordan's teacher. And I brought him on this field trip with the rest of my class. We're going to go have some pizza upstairs. Do you want to come? And I will say, in Emma's defense, she was like not having it at first. Like she was
very hesitant. She was very
Yeah.
much like you could see her looking, and she and for a moment, like the camera pans, or like it goes to another scene, and it started like the last thing you see is her like looking to the side, like she's not really sure, and she looks like she might not go. And the very next scene, you see her going to the room. So that was kind of like a suspenseful moment for me, where I was like, oh, maybe she won't go. Maybe she sees from the jump, and then she can probably get herself out of the situation. Because and that was the thing. And I feel like at this time, definitely in 2001, people weren't super aware that this was a problem, that this was something that was going on, especially in the age of like right before the age of like everyone having social media. So that was like pre-social media. So literally and the way that he kind of lured her in at that point was when he goes, oh, if you want to stay downstairs and I'll just send Jordan down. And then she took a moment. So it was like, oh, well, if he was going to send Jordan down, obviously Jordan's upstairs. Because that's what it would have been my thought as well. So that was how he like it was like planting doubt in her to try to lure her upstairs. And she's like, well, if he were to send Jordan downstairs, that means he probably is upstairs. I'll go. So yes, I was afraid for her.
She had been waiting. And he was disgusting and a creep from the start, from the fact that he was pretending to be a 16-year-old messaging this baby. She's a baby, as much as we're like hating on her for being like stupid in certain moments. Like she's a baby, and the fact that he's creeping on her hard, he's disgusting. He's trash.
He's a trash human being.
Trash human being from the start. But she goes, of course, because she wants to see Jordan. And that's a good point that you bring up. In 2001, this was
something
the internet
was
new. It was new, and people didn't realize that like you're bringing people into your house just by having a computer, whether you think you are, or, you know, regardless of what sites you're on, like you are opening up a portal to weirdos and strangers and creepers on the internet that will find a way to get inside somehow. Yeah, so she's in the room with this guy, and she was smart enough to at least realize, like, because he's like asking her all these questions, he knew a lot about the conversations that Jordan and her had. So you could tell she's like on the bed. I legitimately, like when she sat on the bed, I got like chills in like a creepy way, where I was like, oh, like this makes me so uncomfortable, especially because I'm older now. And part of the reason that we wanted to do this podcast was to see sort of like us reacting to episodes now at like a different age than we were when we initially watched it, and also just to see like how these episodes aged in 2020,
and definitely like how much the culture has changed since then, because it feels like there's such an openness now to see and meet people that may or may not be a danger to us. So like, you know, at the time it was like, even now I can get a photo of some generic chick on whatever website and post it, and I can make a whole Instagram around it as if it's me, and people will just totally believe it. That I can take a picture of myself and Photoshop it to hell so that it doesn't look like me, but it still is me. So you can still sell this false version of you. And it just seemed like at the time that was the beginning of it, where literally this old man took pictures or has pictures or found pictures, whatever, of this young boy and sent it to her and said it was me. And all he was doing was like whatever emails Emma would send him, he would just say them back. And it would be like, oh, wow, you're looking into my soul. And I feel like I can compare that to going on Instagram and looking up, like I follow a lot of like either inspirational blogs or like mental health posts or stuff like that. So that's the stuff that pops up. So if I go to a page that has a lot to do with mental health, I'm like, oh, wow, this reads into my soul. This is exactly for me. When really, no, this is Instagram's algorithm to send me things that, you know, I like, or things that seem to cater to my needs, or what I like, or what the things that I tend to look for on Instagram. So it's sort of the same thing that this Jordan character was doing, where he's just revamping her emails and sending them back as if, oh,
That's
a
good point.
we feel the same way.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. And I didn't even think of it like that, but it's like, yeah, the internet has sort of like shifted into this area of like and I'm talking about the internet as like as if it's like a person itself, but like it kind of is. It's a machine, and it's basically like we know what you like, so we're gonna curate things that may not even like you may not actually like the things that we're sharing with you, but we're gonna curate it in a way that you will like, that we will make you like.
It's an entity that's just literally just making these algorithms based on things that you've looked at just a little, like not even like, just things that you've looked at a little longer than other posts that you've looked at. It's like, well, here are more posts like it, or just, and you know, everyone talks about how your phones are looking at you and hear you. I mean, I believe it. My sister just, I've never heard of pampering, right? Do you know what pampering is?
Like diapers?
No, those are Pampers.
No, those are Pampers.
Pampering. Pampering is a pill for when you have your period. So it's literally like, it's kind of like Midol. I've never heard of pampering before, right? My sister just recently told me about it because we have our periods at the same time, because that's that Bluetooth girl.
Mm-hmm.
She told me about it like a month ago. Tell me why every other day I've seen a commercial for pampering since then. I have never heard of pampering before. And now every other day on YouTube, I'm getting a commercial for pampering. What? Like, why are you in my head? Why are you listening to me? So
I mean, listen, if you have an Alexa, if you have a phone, and these are things that it's like, we've transitioned into a world where it's like, you can't not have these things. It's like, you know, how do you not have a phone?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like at the core of everything, but it's like, even your TV now, TVs are smart TVs. Your TV is probably listening and picking up on things. And it's sort of the nature of the beast now. But it's true. It's like your phone literally listens to everything.
My dad has 2 Apple TVs, like the old one and the new one. And he has I'm going to whisper it. He has a Google, right? Like an okay Google thing. So yesterday I was talking on the phone. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yesterday I was talking on the phone. Like, mind you, I have an iPhone, so Siri's listening to me. Siri's a little jealous right now because I was like, yeah, blah, 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 something about Google. Like, I was like, I really like it. Randomly. Now, this is the first night, last night that like my parents left.
Oh, no.
And I was talking about Google, and then all of a sudden Google goes, okay, see you later. No. I wasn't talking to you. I didn't say, hey, Google. I didn't say, okay, Google. So all day today, I've been asking her to put on timers, and I've been saying, thank you. Like, right. Hey, Google, I love you.
That's high praise coming from you.
That's the homie. So we're homies right now.
She also kind of shaded you. She was like, wow, you normally talk to me like hun. She was like, thanks, girl.
No, I've been telling my dad, I was like, you better be nice to her. Listen, I don't play that. I don't know. I'm nice to all my technology.
I'm not here for it. I will literally be talking, or I'll be on like a phone call, or sometimes like I won't be doing anything, and all of a sudden she just like starts beeping, or will just like make a noise. And to me, that's the equivalent if like I'm sitting here doing this podcast and all of a sudden
I'm not here for it.
I'm not here for it.
Like it. If I could, and if I had the know-how and the skills to do it, I would live out in the mountains, in the woods, with nothing. I don't want, unless it's God coming down from heaven, giving me spiritual advice, and it's like the ominous voice.
Through Siri.
I'm okay with that. I'm like, all right, it's God. Yeah, I'll listen to you. Siri, you better stop.
Siri,
you better stop.
Am I making it to heaven? And she's just like, she just hits you with one of these. She doesn't even talk. She just goes.
Wait, it's just my face.
Yeah. We're back. We're back.
So we can.
We should cut you because I feel like we alluded to this about how so we basically mentioned the fact that like this guy was mimicking things that she was sending in emails to other people so that he could like gain her trust, or like she could feel like, oh, he likes the things that I like. So We should cut to how we know that. So simultaneously, while he is in this hotel with her, being super creepy, our
Manny.
girl, our hero, Miss Queen Cuckoo Bananas herself,
Manuela Santos.
Manuela Santos shows up because, again, A1 friend that was like, you want to watch an environmental documentary? I'm not really about that, but that's fine. I'll come over. Emma's like, no, I don't want you to. She's like, okay, something's up. Something's not right. She just like felt it. I have to say, like, as much as I'm saying that Manny is the hero, I feel like it's a 50-50 split between Manny and Toby. Because Toby from the beginning was like, do not do that. Dude, this is a terrible idea. Do not go meet this guy who you do not know, who's a stranger. And so she shows up and she's like, guys, I feel like something's off. Emma's out doing XYZ. I'm concerned. So they hack her email, which, let's be real, in 2001, I'm sure was not that hard.
Sorry.
It's not like there was like firewalls and protection and all these things. And her email was like, what did I say was Sparkle Gal 268?
Sparkle Spaz 28.
Sparkle Spaz 28. So I'm sure they were like, okay. Could you imagine too? I just like, they didn't show this, but I imagine like Manny's over Toby's shoulder while he's on the computer and he's like real serious. Like, okay, we got to find her. What's her username? And she's like, Sparkle. Yeah. SPARKLEZ. Wait. Two Z's. Just full 2001 spelling for no reason.
Capital Z, lowercase z.
That essentially Toby pulls up her emails and like sees that like this guy hacked into her, was tracking her. However you want to lay it out, this guy, there's something wrong with this guy. But basically, Emma, she had a smart moment. She realized that something was off.
She's like, okay, but I know that something's up. I know that this is uncomfortable. So she's trying to get out. And she, for some reason, is like not able to finagle to open the door. So then she just
hotel room door, which literally only locks one way.
It's one little lock, and then you, like, I knew exactly what to do, but you know, fully crying. Because I'm not even gonna lie. I'm fully like, oh my gosh, why'd you panic? See, I've seen this episode 17 times, so I know exactly what happens, and still I'm like fully crying. Like, so while all that stuff's going on, like, basically the guy, Jordan, says to Emma, listen, I'm not going to hurt you. I don't want to scare you. So I'm just going to go and you can either stay or leave if you want. So then he makes it noises as if he's about to leave the room. And then he closes the door. Looks like no one's there. She starts to walk outside. Starts to unlock the door. And then all of a sudden,
she still can't open it though.
It still takes 15 minutes to open that door for some reason.
I'm sorry. Again, she is 100% the victim in this situation. However, if you cannot open a simple lock on a door, you're too young to have a freaking online boyfriend, Emma. I'm so angry.
You know what I always think about too? Again, this is going to sound like victim blaming. That's not what I'm trying to do. But if you don't feel like you can tell anyone where you're going, you don't tell your mom. That's one thing. You don't want to tell your mom, but you also are lying to your friends about where you're going. If you can't tell anyone, then that's a problem. That's a problem if you're the only person that knows where you are. I share my location with like 4 different people, so they know where I am at all times. 2 of the people I share my location with aren't even in the same state as me. So if something were to happen to me, they still know where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? So like, we don't have that technology in 2001, but I'm at least going to tell somebody, hey, I'm at this hotel. If something happens to me, like, this is where I was last seen.
Her best friend who she shares basically everything with.
That's like low-key control freaks, like symptoms. I just don't understand it.
I completely agree. And again, yes, we're not trying to like victim blame. Like, she is a victim in this situation. And at no point, like, she's a kid. So it's like, no matter what she did, he is wrong. He is dead wrong. Yes, this episode is all about how it seems like we're just shitting on Emma, but trust me, other characters, their time will come. There will be a spinner meter at some point. We know it. However,
Listen,
my-
once Aubrey shows up, spinner meter goes through the roof.
Oh,
Aubrey and
through
Marcus
through the roof. But my thing is, it's like not even like, yes, she makes poor decisions at times, but it's just the fact that like even when she does these poor decisions, it's like she's never in the wrong. And I'm not saying that she was in the wrong for this, but I mean like she's never in the wrong. So let's cut to basically, like you said, her mom shows up.
Mhm.
They finally like save her from this like psychopath. The cops showed up like this. I was like, oh, it's like that at Toronto. Like they showed up running through the doors. Like they knew what room she was in immediately.
So Snake is not at the time dating Spike, and he's also not Emma's dad. So he came through, grabbed that guy, put his elbow up to his neck, and he's like, if you move, I'm gonna break your neck. And I just want to applaud Snake for that manly behavior. I'm here for it. Yes, you want to break his neck because he's assaulting a child. I am here for it. I am so sorry. Go on.
No, you're right. You're right. He deserves a round of applause for that. That's the type of energy that we need in 2020.
Yes.
There's two energies we need in 2020. It's Snake just like ready to show up because he knows some shit's down and he's just like ready to fight.
Yes.
And two, Manny Santos on the phone like, oh yeah, we'll hang out later. JT, I'm on my way. Like, that's the friend energy that we need in 2020. And so Degrassi honestly came into my life probably like I was 12-ish. I remember I had just moved and we had the end and I had never seen that before. And I remember binging, like they basically played Degrassi on loop and like South of Nowhere on occasion.
Oh my gosh. South of Nowhere, Degrassi, and Instant Star. Those were
the trifecta, the holy trinity. But so they played Degrassi on loop and I was like, this is amazing. And I remember being 12, probably 12 or 13 and watching this episode and being like, oh yeah, that's so creepy and so crazy. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh no, like I was so nervous for her in the bedroom and I was like, no, that's a grown ass man, like get the fuck out of there. And I was really, really nervous for her. And so throughout the progression of part 2, I was like team Emma. We get to the bedroom and her mom is like, Emma, what the fuck are you doing? And like in better terms, in a very motherly fashion though, like, why would you put yourself in this predicament? Not that she's like victim blaming. She's not. She's just being a mom. Like, I raised you better than that to like make smarter decisions and stuff like that. And Emma, it's like, I'm finally team Emma and I just want her to be like, I'm sorry, mom. Like, you're so right. This was awful. I shouldn't have done this. Or like, I promise I won't do this. And she just starts popping off on her mom. And her exact quote was, she's like, I made a mistake, mom. You've never made a mistake before? Like maybe having me?
That was a wild statement. That's a wild state.
Are you kidding?
My mother constantly makes jokes about how she was frustrated that I was born during Oprah. But like, I never throw that back at her as like some kind of like threat or like just to be a jerk to her. I've never, like, I would never be like, oh, was I planned? Was I a mistake? Like I made a mistake just like I was the mistake. Like that is a wild statement to say to your parent.
And also your mom is clearly coming from a place of like, she's genuinely concerned because she just found out that you were with, I mean, rightfully so, you were locked in a hotel room with a grown ass man who was like, who knows what he was even going to do to you? I don't even want to think about it.
He had a camera?
A camera.
He had a camera. He was going to tape whatever he was about to do to you.
I forgot about the camera. This man literally set up a camera in the corner of the room and was like, your mom is at her high school reunion. She doesn't even,
like basically talking about how you're alone.
Crazy. Crazy.com. crazy.com.uk.co. It's everything.
Cuckoobananas.uk.
For real. I am excited to go on this journey and I'm excited to rediscover new characters that maybe I liked before that now that I'm older and approaching it from a different perspective, I may not like anymore. I may have an issue with storylines that are maybe problematic, or storylines that are relevant to today, because I'm sure a lot of them are going to be, as this one was. This is still so relevant, and the medium has changed. Yes, people aren't necessarily on like an online chat room, but you could swap that out for Tinder. You can swap that out for any type of dating app. You can swap it out for just like texting in general. Like you never truly know who you're communicating with unless it is a face-to-face situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the biggest takeaway from all of this, was like, yes, the internet has evolved, but the internet still exists, and it's just learned to adapt around us. We think that we have learned to adapt to the internet, but I truly think that like the internet has adapted to us and it's learned how it can get away with in a way that it couldn't get away with in 2001, and how to infiltrate our lives in every aspect. Alexa, smart TVs, your computer, the podcast that you're listening to right now. It's true. And it's just a matter of like, at this point, it's impossible to avoid it. So you just have to try and make the smartest decisions that you possibly can. Listen to your friends. Especially when
sometimes they have like good advice. Like sometimes they really, and that's the thing. It's like with being a kid that I kind of wish I was told or just sort of enforced more, is like, you know, you don't have to listen to every single thing that people say to you, but just be aware of where information is coming from. I think that's really important. It's like, okay, are people saying this to me because they're jealous, or because they don't want me to be happy, or they just want to talk and whatever, or are they saying this because they genuinely care about me? Think about people's past actions towards you. Actions definitely speak louder than words. If Manny, who has always held it down for Emma, is and always just like, you know, Emma wanted to break into the computer lab and Manny was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like continuously been that person that's been helping you out. And then she's like, you know what? Maybe we should think about this. I'm not trying to hurt you. I want you to be happy, but also let's just think about the situation logically. For you to just not listen to that and also lie to her, it's like you're just choosing to be hard-headed. And choosing to have like a one-track mind and not really think about where information is coming from. Think about the information that's being told to you by Jordan. Like how is it that the things that I'm saying to him are exactly what he's saying back to me, or the things that I'm saying to other people are exactly, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, like, you have to really be conscious of like everything, and you have to be paranoid. Just be conscious of it. It's just, I think that's super, super important. It's something that like a lot of us are lacking. Something that Emma was lacking.
And to bounce off of what you were saying, it's like, you don't necessarily need to take every single bit of advice that your friends or your family are giving you, but understand at least where it's coming from. But, you know, dissect it, take it in, digest it a little, and like understand where they're coming from. Do you think this episode aged well?
I think so. I think that because even as I was like watching it, I wasn't even aware that the themes in this episode still hold till today. It didn't occur to me that like, oh, he's using fake photos. We still use fake photos on Instagram, you know?
Overall, yeah, I think this episode aged really well. I think the message was really important. I think it really, Degrassi goes there for a first episode. So we're going to end every episode with like what moment for us of the episode truly Degrassi goes there. As I said earlier, it is a phrase. It is a way of life.
Degrassi, it goes there.
Because we love the drama and conflama of it all with Degrassi.
Love the drama. We love the tea.
And I think for me, the moment that really like goes there, honestly, I mean, it's obvious, but I think just like when she was really in the hotel room and he was like, if you scream, I'm gonna
tape your mouth.
Yeah, like, yeah, if you scream, I'm gonna tape your mouth, or I'm gonna like film you for no one will know that you're here. Like, that was crazy to me. And that really Degrassi goes there, because I'm like, this is next level. They took catfishing to another level, but like a really truthful and accurate level. What about you? What Degrassi What Degrassi goes there in this episode?
I kind of want to say the moments leading up to that. So the moment before where Manny is like going there, she's like, something's wrong, we gotta look this stuff up. And then they run up to the mom, and the mom's like, okay, we gotta go. So like all of that was like very intense. And I feel like that went there because it was all leading up to like, is it gonna happen? Is it not? Like, is she gonna get hurt? So that probably, like, leading up to that probably went there more for me than anything else did.
What a first episode to review.
I know. I'm so happy we finally did this. I think it turned out really well.
But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Next week, we will review episode 3 of Degrassi season 1. Again, go back and watch. All the episodes, full episodes, completely for free on YouTube, Degrassi's official YouTube page. So go check it out. Just type in Degrassi
Shout out to you.
Next Generation episode 1. We're not sponsored, but again,
one day,
would
speak it
love
into
to.
existence. Or just, you know what? I would even mind if Cassie Steele like gave us a shout out, was like, hey, listen to this podcast. I'd be like,
let me just say this. I am all about manifesting things, and I'm gonna look dead in the camera for this one. Cassie Steele, I can love you. But that's not even what I was gonna say. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we are the Spirit Squad Rejects.
Bye,
You've
guys.
been rejected, hun.
You're my Manny Santos, honestly.
Oh, I live for that. I love that. We're
Like your
Loki, Marco,
Hazel?
and Ellie. No, we're Loki, Marco, and Ellie.